Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another episode of Truly Bedrock Season 3. It has been a minute since I made an episode, but in my defense, we did build a part of a castle in between episodes, so that's my excuse. That's all I have to say for myself. Anyway, in today's episode of Truly Bedrock, we are going to be moving away from the castle building and instead focusing on our strong suit, which is of course redstone, our favorite thing in the world. We have this giant castle now, and on the inside of it is absolutely mostly air. So we need to fill in basically this entire castle with as much redstone as we possibly can. And my idea is to start off with the storage system. So right here in this big empty slot, kind of the same size as that villager trading hall more or less, is going to be a huge multi-item sorting system. This is something that has escaped me for years. I've never known how to build these things or design them properly because they just confuse all my brain, but I finally cracked the code and I designed two very nice bits of redstone storage. So we're going to be building that up today and designing it and testing it and running it. It's also going to help eliminate our chest monster that we have acquired over here. As you see, we have quite a few shulkers for building up the castle. We can actually go ahead and put most of this just into deep storage, and all of these ones over here are empty. This is how many resources we used to build up the castle. Like, it's a lot of blocks, man. Oh yeah, and also Zap has left us a beacon in between episodes as well. Very nice of the Zap. We're gonna be putting this thing to good use. So we actually have quite a bit of room inside of our build here to build a very large storage system. It is 20 blocks across, it is 30 blocks from this wall to that wall, and it's also 22 blocks tall as well. So that is more than enough room to build a storage system down here and have some farms up above it as well. I am thinking we're gonna have to move around the cactus farm and build just like a much bigger cactus farm. And we might have to also move around some of the other farms as well, simply so we can hide all of the redstone back here in this area. Of course, multi-item storage systems are like 95% redstone by volume and about 5% storage. So the further back we can push it, the better. If we push it all the way back against that wall, the chest should be somewhere about right here, I would believe. So that leaves us with a lot of room in between the front door and our chest wall. That way it's not so cramped in here, it's a lot nicer and open. So we need to head over to Creative for a moment and check out this design and also like finish designing it as well. Did I mention that I haven't finished designing it? I probably should have mentioned that. So here it is, the thing that I've been failing to design, test, and get working reliably for like 3 years now. But I finally just sat down one night when I should have been designing a moss farm and I built this thing. And you know what? It works. So I have absolutely no shame in doing this. I also designed a really great item elevator as well that I'll be showing you a little bit later. But anyway, as you can see, the redstone fort is actually super cheap, and this is not even the final version of it. We need to redesign it slightly to make it way cheaper and way simpler. But I'll talk about that in a moment. Now, as you can see, this system is basically as compact as you can really get it on the front side. This is like the ultimate version of a multi-item storage system, where you get every single double chest facing sideways, completely packed into a wall. A lot of these systems will have double chests facing sideways like this, which obviously gives you a lot less storage capacity, or they will have like a block in between your double chests, so you get even less storage out of your system. But this one gets a double chest just completely packed in there, and it's beautiful. In case you're not aware of how these works, let's give you a quick little rundown so that you can understand the premise. A multi-item storage system allows you to store up to 54 different items per double chest. You do need to configure the chest by laying out single items throughout it. So if we fill up this entire thing with a gunpowder, only gunpowder will ever be able to enter this chest. However, if we take all this out and put in like a layer of shulker shells, and then some slime balls, and then some gunpowder, and then like blaze rods, and any number of different things, then any of these items will be able to filter into this chest, but if it's not these items, it'll go on to the next chest all the way throughout the system. So you can sort like multiple thousands of different items within just one single storage, and you can categorize them pretty easily, and it's great. There is a more advanced version of this called an item categorizer. Don't even get me started on that, man. I just figured out how to build this one. I'll get to that one in like 5 years. Give me time. I'm stupid, okay? The premise behind the redstone is also fairly straightforward as well, but again, I'm the big dumb. So yeah, it took me years to understand it and get it working properly. Anyway, so as you can see, we have a hopper here. If we put some blaze rods in there, none of these blaze rods are going to be able to go into this chest because there's no slots assigned to them. If we take out an item, then a slot will be assigned to those blaze rods. Now, if we put like some shulker shells in here, none of these can go into this chest, but if we unlock the hopper below it, they will be sucked down and then put into this chest here. So by alternating which one of these hoppers gets locked and then unlocked with a very finely tuned system, we can send the items into the only chest that they are able to get into. None of the items will ever skip a chest, and overall it is going to be great all around. I've got it to work as fast as I possibly can with the timings that I was able to figure out, and we need to compactify the system a little bit more. So originally I wanted to use this kind of system right here, and I wanted to use target blocks a lot more as well, but I simply could not find any place in the system for it, and the introduction of correctly working target blocks is what got me back into this project. So thanks, but also I don't actually need you. Sorry, you're no longer my favorite toy. Anyway, as you can see, if we power this on the back side, that is going to turn off all 3 of these torches. So in theory, we need a lot less observers and repeaters because we only need to power the central row in order to activate 3 rows of redstone torches, which in theory makes the design a lot cheaper. However, with this design over here, because we are pushing everything forwards a couple extra blocks, it requires a lot more hoppers, it requires a lot of pistons, and it just requires way more resources in general, whereas we can actually make the system more compact and cheaper in the long run as well. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and redesign. I'm gonna make a copy of this build using a structure block. It appears that I've filled my entire testing area with junk that does not work. So where am I gonna put this build? So instead of using this redstone wall on the other side of these pistons and powering it with just a single line of observers every 3rd block, I have decided to just eliminate this entire wall and just make it so that we need a lot more observers. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's actually going to be much cheaper in the long run, especially on iron, redstone, and wood. And of course, it makes the build a block more compact as well. So we're just going to go ahead and remove all of this and push these redstone torches back a block. Okay, well, all that conversion is now done. As you can see, the redstone is a lot nicer and cleaner on the inside, but it does use a lot more observers. It also took me about an hour or so to figure out how to move the items from one slice to another. So what I have is this being the input chest that goes up an item elevator, sends items into your first slice, they go down this one, and then up another item elevator on the back, going over to the second slice, and then up around and into the 3rd slice, and then 4th, and then we skip an item elevator because we ran out of room. So now the items are in like the 5th slice, and then they move down and to the right again. So basically they're doing like a big giant spiral all throughout the system 9 times over until eventually they get to the output chest, which would be over here. So anything that can't be sorted into your system will be put into that chest right there. Conveniently at the same exact level as the input chest, because I'm a professional derp. Now, I don't want to jinx myself, but I feel like this is everything. I think I've wired up all the redstone correctly, so this system will automatically detect whenever something goes through one of these item elevators. The observers are going to power this redstone line, which will activate this comparator clock, which will then keep this redstone clock on for however long this comparator clock is on for, basically. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to activate every 6 game ticks, I believe, which will activate this little monostable circuit, and then that'll power the rest of the flashy, blinky activation of the redstonies. So we can demonstrate that real quickly by tossing an item into this chest, and we should see all of that stuff will activate. Very nice. So now I need to test out this system a little bit and make sure that the timings are properly correct. So we're actually going to remove this layer of chests right here. That way the items can't go into those chests. And now I need to put one item into the system and make sure that it ends up all the way over there in that output chest. If it can make that entire round without the system churning off or making the item get stuck somewhere, then we know that our timings are correct. Oh yeah, by the way, the observer did actually end up in this top chest right here, so that is a good sign. Well, I tossed in a stack of items, and they didn't make it to the third row, and I have no idea where they're at. They're somewhere in this system, and I just kind of looked through all these different inventories to find them. There's one of them. That's normal. That should be there. But I'm missing like 63. So I fixed the item elevator. I don't know what was wrong with it. Might have been a bug from the structure block, but items are finally coming through the system now, and we should see at least a couple of them land in the output chest. There we go. Very nice. As you can see, it's actually a relatively quick system as well. It's not really that slow. Also, once it's done, it's going to be 100% reliable and 100% silent as well. So that is all just fantastic. This is literally like the best style of multi-item storage system that you can get. So we got 32 of them out of there. Lovely. Now, one little flaw that I would like to mention, since I just said this thing was perfect, is the fact that these item elevators do leave behind a couple of items. However, it's not really that many. As you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 per slice. That's not really that big of a deal, and as long as you're not throwing in like your diamond sword or something, it's not gonna matter that much. You can also toss in a couple of items after your bulk load to kind of flush those items out. Overall, it's not really gonna be that big of a deal, and I'm not too worried about it. If you're building a system of this size, you have a lot of items, so it shouldn't be a big deal, I don't think. I think the trade-off is definitely worth it though, because it is so cheap to build these item elevators. Okay, well, I'm just doing some last-minute tests now to figure out if it's all working well, and so far, so good. I did have quite the scare there for a moment where none of the items were actually going into the chest. They were just cycling all the way through to the final output, and then I realized that I just forgot to put this little redstone torch and redstone line at the top here. This kind of slows down and regulates the rate at which the items go into the system. If you just let them go in straight without this little redstone line, then everything is desynchronized and it just goes to the output chest. But just putting this one little redstone line in helps the entire system function correctly, and so far everything on the first 2 rows is functioning as it should. I should probably go ahead and test every single one of these double chests, but I don't know how many double chests there are. It's just a lot, and I'm kind of lazy, so I'm gonna call this build done. We're gonna build it on the Truly Bedrock server. For having 45 double chests of storage, this build honestly is pretty small. It's only 13 wide by 11 deep and 13 tall. We're gonna have plenty of room for this in the base. So Truly Bedrock isn't on the most recent 1.17 update because of reasons, and that means that I needed to turn this world to a previous version. And this is why you always make copies of your worlds before touching it with World Edit, especially if you want to load it in an older version of Minecraft. Yeah, never seen something like this before, but always make copy of your worlds in case this happens. Well, the structure block didn't save the second version of it, so I guess I can rebuild it from the footage that I have? I wish I could have 2 different instances of Minecraft and 2 different versions of Minecraft, like having, you know, 1.17 and 1.17.30 open at the same time. That'd be really nice, but oh well. It's just small inconvenience. And a copy of a world that's gonna get deleted. Just making the rounds on the server, gathering some materials for the sorting system, and decided to check the shop. We have sold 4 elytras, and those, I believe, are the first 4 elytras we've ever sold. And then we also have like a bunch of other diamonds from our books as well. So even while I'm not really stocking the shop or doing much of anything, we are still raking in the money, which is kind of cool to see. Okay, I have thoroughly looked around the shopping district, and it has occurred to me that not a single person on the server sells any wood, and I need to make like so many chests and so many hoppers. So I think that's probably going to be our next venture. We should get ourselves probably a moss farm and then a tree farm into the base like ASAP, and hopefully that'll help out the server members and myself. Although Like, am I gonna need much wood after I build this storage system? Probably not, but I still want to build a tree farm. Tree farms are great. Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me. I don't have even a single spruce sapling? Nowhere in my storage system do I have a spruce sapling. I have some oak and some birch and like, I don't have any birch. Definitely no birch. There's no birch here. I guess I'm gonna be farming some oak trees. That's ridiculous. Who can I steal some spruce saplings from? And how did I lose all my spruce saplings? Spruce is the only wood that I farm. Ever. How did I lose them all? Scratch that, I found myself some jungle saplings. Not quite ideal, because these branches are annoying, but it will work. There's always one branch. 2x2 trees are definitely the way to go for your log needs, and now we have hopefully more than enough chests for the entirety of the storage system. I know we're probably gonna need a stack and a half of chests just for like the front, and then of course we need a bunch for the hoppers as well. So let's make another stack of chests, and then we'll make a stack of hoppers. We should probably make another half a stack of hoppers as well, just because. Okay, well that was 2 stacks of hoppers, but I mean, still, we're probably gonna use all of these. I need to make more chests now, because that is not enough chests for the entire storage system. Okay, there we go. 2 stacks of hoppers, 2 stacks of chests. Let's do this thing. Okay, so that's a lot of double chests, but it really looks absolutely tiny inside of this area. Like, that's ridiculous. I know I'm not gonna need more double chests than this. There technically should be an extra row on top of this, but I definitely do not want to make the storage system larger than this, because I am simply not going to have enough items to fill up that entire thing. That's just simply not going to happen. But like, what are we going to do? It looks tiny. That is unacceptable. It's tiny. It may as well just be a single double chest at this rate. We're going to have to like make the rest of this area look a lot smaller. We got to throw up some walls. We got to put a floor in here. We got a box in this area. Jeez. It looks minuscule. We technically have a little bit of room here on the left side that we can put some other storage system tech, maybe some storage silos. We can put some storage silos to the right of this system, maybe. Okay, so this is just kind of pure luck when it comes to building this, but luckily I'm building it in the direction where rails actually cooperate with you. If we were building it going in this direction, all of these rails would be connecting and going up and sloping up and being diagonal, and it would just be a giant pain in the butt, but this direction works great. The directionality of rails is just a really annoying thing, but you know what? Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you just really don't. So it's technically the next day right now, but this system only took about 30 or so minutes to build. It's honestly a really straightforward process, and I didn't even have the world open or anything. I just kind of built it mostly from memory and what little bits I showed in the episode so far. And honestly, I think it turned out pretty well. I've yet to test it or anything, so it might just completely implode, but we will have to wait and see. So the current project is to get myself some of the glowstone. I have literally none to my name. I want myself an indicator light right here to show when the build is actually functioning and running through items. And then of course I need like a bajillion different item frames. Technically 45 item frames, and these things are honestly so expensive. 2 logs each. I gotta cut down like a whole forest. But when we're done, we're gonna have an entire wall of these. Now, one thing I am thinking is it's gonna be a little bit hard to like look past the item frames and open the chest that you want to. So it might be best if we like come up with another system. I don't know what you would do to individually label every chest besides maybe a sign, but I really like the item frames. Item frames is like the best way of doing things. So, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to deal with it. But the idea is you would have one item in each of these frames to show you what is inside of that chest. And then you open up that chest and all of those items would be in there. And of course, this is going to take me quite a while to assign each chest. So the nice thing about this system is you can make it any size smaller than this that you want to. So if I have too many items, I can actually come in here and chop off this entire column, or chop off like 4 columns even, This is like the maximum size that you can make a single system, 9 wide, because of the powering of the rails. We could also technically make it 4 double chests taller as well, which would be ridiculous, but this is, I think, enough storage for most people. One thing that's very handy to have on hand for these little systems is some filler items. So what I like to do is grab myself some glass panes and then rename them to something cheeky that will annoy everyone, and then we can use this as a filler space. So any spaces that we have unassigned in the system, we can fill up with these items, and then nothing else will go into those spaces. It's a pretty decent way of just like keeping some spaces unassigned, and then if we want to later, we can come back through and reassign them with any block that we want. This pig is surprisingly relatable. He's continually stuck in a cycle of stuckiness, and so am I. I have officially gotten stuck inside my own redstone, been trying to jump out of here for like 4 minutes. I've already broken so many blocks, I'm just completely stuck in here. I have a feeling by the end of the season, there's going to be like 30 animals in here if they keep on spawning. Look at that. There's already a sheep over there. There's like a goat. We already got the 4 skeleton horses. Yeah, this is bad. So it took a little while, but I did actually assign every chest to something or another. Some of them are brand new that I've never had a sorter for before because it's a brand new update with new items. And otherwise, I think this is a pretty solid layout for most things. There's probably going to be a little bit of a rearranging here and there. And what I would like to do is rename every single one of these items in an anvil. That way I know like exactly what's going to be in that chest. But that's kind of going to cost a lot of levels. So I don't know. I might have to wait off on that one. And you know what? I kind of want to move this down and this down a block just so it's level with the other stone, you know, just have that nice and symmetrical. But otherwise, everything should be fairly self-explanatory. Like this one's gonna be moss-related items, this one's gonna be foliage, dyes, flowers, nether mob drops, and normal mob drops, redstone, iron, emeralds, and villagers. You got your foods and your saplings, and then you got your logs. Saplings could probably be combined with regular foliage. There's basically like infinite ways to fiddle with this and customize it, but I'm not too worried about making it like perfect or anything. However, one thing that I will mention is that for these 4 things right here, all the non-stackable items, I'm actually going to be making these unsorted chests. So if you want to, you can actually churn the hoppers to the side, or basically make them face backwards, and then your system won't be sorting those slots. So you can have some manual slots within your automatic storage system. So we'll go ahead and place hoppers facing all of those torches, and now all 4 of those double chests are going to be manual sorting only. So we can have our enchantment books, we can have our random tools, our weapons, our armor, and our potions as well. And that is basically how you do that. Super simple. So of course, actually assigning every single slot of all these double chests is just going to take a while. So I'm going to do that probably on a couple of live streams here in the next couple of days. And I'm assuming you guys probably want a tutorial for this, but let me know if you're interested down in the comment section, and I will try and prioritize that for you guys. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy that I finally have one of these things working on Bedrock Edition. I really like how it turned out in general. The redstone is super simple. It's got a lot of pros, not too many cons, and the item elevators are just dead simple and super cheap as well. So I am pretty stoked with this thing overall, and this means that we can finally start saying goodbye to our chest monsters that we have acquired outside the base as well. Get all this stuff nice and tidied up, and that'll be one step closer to the evil castle completion. So I've already gone ahead and dumped in like maybe 10 or so shulker boxes of just random junk items that I've had sitting around the world. You don't really realize how much random junk you have until you start consolidating it into one system, but like not really that many shulkers later, and I have that much glow ink. Why do I have that much glow ink? So this is kind of the storage system as it stands. Of course, we're going to be upgrading this over time in the next couple of episodes. If you have any ideas for how you think we should upgrade upgrade it, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. I'm thinking we want some storage silos for the things we're going to be getting a lot of. We want a trash can, maybe a shulker box sorter, or a couple other non-stackable item sorters. I don't know. If you got any interesting ideas, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, you may have noticed it, or maybe not, but I do have a new microphone in today's episode and in the most recent episode of Bug Rock as well. Let me know how you think it sounds. I haven't had nearly enough time to fiddle with all the audio settings. I spent like 4 hours doing it, but I mean, yeah, still not enough time. It's a completely new audio setup, so it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, and there might be a little bit of inconsistencies or weirdness over the next couple of videos as I figure out what I'm doing, because I'm just pretending to be a professional over here. I have no actual clue what I'm doing in the slightest. So let me know your feedback down below, and if you're someone who knows anything about audio, then give me your suggestions for how I can improve it as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching today's episode of Truly Bedrock Season 3. I hope that you have greatly enjoyed. If you have, then of course leave a like on today's episode. It helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss future episodes. And otherwise, I'll see you guys down in those comments and in the next one. And then there was silence.